Put it on his hands. Yes, sir. In his hands.
What a great day to be alive and have a front row seat to see what God is doing in your life. This is the day that the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to the Macedonia Baptist Church virtual broadcast opportunity for worship right where you are. For those who are joining us by way of Facebook this morning, do not forget to share with your people, your Facebook community. While worship is going on, give us thumbs up, hearts of love, comments. We appreciate your information, your comeback with us. We need your participation. Those who are watching us by way of Zoom, thank you for joining in with us. Feel free to share the Zoom link with all your friends and your email community. Just send it out. We want people to see far and wide what great things God is doing here at the Macedonia Church, right here in the city of Memphis, right here where we're having a great time praising our Lord and our Savior. Look, today is a great day to be alive. I want you to continue to support the work of our church. I'm asking all of our members, every single member, to make sure you're contributing your tithe and your offering. Every single member of the Macedonia Baptist Church, your tithe and your offering. Now, those who are visitors, our Cyber church members, our friends and well worshipers, make sure you give your tithe and offering to your church or send us a generous contribution. You can do so by way of Givelify. Download it if you've not done so. Make Macedonia Baptist Church, 2093 Perry Road, your place of worship. Give to us, help us keep doing the great work that God has assigned to us. If you're not into the electronic age of giving, you like to mail it in, that's not a problem. Macedonia Baptist Church, 2093 Perry Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 381006. That's 2093 Perry Road, 2093 Perry Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38106. For all Christians and sinners, if you have not registered to vote in this community, in this climate, let me personally invite you and encourage you to become a registered voter. And if you are a registered voter, make sure you vote. All votes will count except those that do not cast their vote. Please, ma'am, please, sir, if you're not a registered voter, become one today. And make sure when you're a registered voter, you do cast your vote. I also want to encourage you to make sure you complete your census information simply by logging on to www.2020census.gov. That's www.2020census.gov. www.2020census.gov. Here's some great news for all of the Macedonia Church, for those who have a physical attachment to our congregation. In a couple of weeks, in a few days, we're going to have an awesome gathering. It's called the Macedonia Mobile Fellowship Celebration. The first Sunday in September the 6th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You're just going to drive by the Macedonia Happy Baptist Church. Make sure you're driving south on Perry Road with the passenger side of your vehicle next to the church, and we will have a goodie bag for you. We will do communion again for you on that Sunday morning. It's going to be a meet and greet, awesome time, but here's some simple rules. Rule number one, you must stay in your car. You must stay in your vehicle. You cannot get out of that vehicle no matter what the circumstance are. You must stay in. Number two, you must wear your mask. You must wear your mask. Listen, we're going to have an awesome time. We're going to do a great thing, meet and greet, our mobile fellowship celebration. It's almost 5 months since we've seen each other, so here's an opportunity where we can see each other in a mobile way. We're going to pass by, wave, and give you a goodie bag, have communion. We're going to have an awesome time doing this hour from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. Look forward to seeing each of you there on that first Sunday morning in September. I know you're going to be there, and I'm going to be looking just for you. May God bless you. May God keep you as we celebrate him in spirit and in truth. This morning I invite you to stand with us as we make ready to read the good news that's found in the book of Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1 beginning with verse 8, ending with verse 14. As our custom here at the Macedonia Church, we ask that you stand in honor of the reading of God's holy writ. Exodus chapter 1, beginning with verse 8 and ending with verse 14. Would you be so kind, stand as we read together. From the King James translation it reads, Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that, when there falleth out in a war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did see, even they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Python and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter and hard with bondage, in the mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field, and of their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. I want to tag this passage this morning with this thought. When your enemy is afraid of you. When your enemy is afraid of you. This biblical narrative shows us as it opened up that there is a changing of the guard from one Pharaoh to another, from one king to another, and the biblical text says, there arose a new king in Egypt who knew not Joseph. In this one verse, it shows us the danger of not knowing your history, because had this new Pharaoh, this new king, had perused the Egyptian history, he would have discovered that Joseph was a critical part to their survival in days gone by. It is a travesty when we do not know our history and value the things that people do around us. I believe this king was a smart individual and knew much about a lot of things in his own right, a very astute individual. And as much and as many things as he did know, the one thing he did not know was Joseph. And there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Isn't it amazing how people can come to power and there's such a disconnect with history? It is similar to read, and there arose a new president, which knew not Obama. It is simply a comparison of one king coming in the place of another. Had our present president looked at the history of our own nation, he would have discovered that when President Barack Obama came into office, the federal government was in disarray. The financial system was at the teetering point of collapsing. Unemployment was high. People morale low. This country was in a terrible fix. And a black man by the name of Barack Obama, he pulled people together and put together a plan to save the financial industry. He put us back on the right path. He found where the resources was available to provide health care for Americans who could not have health care before. It was amazing how he turned the country around. For 8 years, we had good things happening in this country. But then there arose a new president who knew not Obama. Our history parallels the biblical text, because in this passage of scripture, this new king Pharaoh, who knew so much, he did not know his own history. He did not see that Joseph was their blessing and connection to God. And because he did not know Joseph, he made some costly assumptions. In verse 9 he says, unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are mightier than we are. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it comes to pass that when they are fallen out in a war, they join in with our enemies and fight against us. At this point in the history of Israel, they had never been involved in military conquest. They were not an army. They were not a problem. They were not opposing anything in Egypt. They were enjoying the life of Egyptian culture. They were enjoying the life of living free. And the king said, I'm afraid of them. And when you're afraid of people, some strange things can happen. The great prolific writer and speaker, Tertullian from the great Roman church in Africa, said the first reaction to truth is hatred. The first reaction to truth is hatred. My brothers and my sisters beloved, we see a lot of hatred going on in this country. A lot of hatred. A lot of hatred. A lot of hatred. And the first reaction to truth is hatred. This was said by an African theologian for more than 2,000 years ago, that the first reaction to truth is hatred. What in the world is the President of the United States of America is so afraid of? What is it that made this king of Egypt so afraid that he started creating his own narrative? He said, these people are mightier than we are. They are more than we are. And if we don't get them under control, if a war breaks out, they will join with the enemy and they will oust us out. So rather than wait until they do something to us, let us act first. It's amazing to me how people can just create their own narrative. When you do not sit down and talk to individuals, you make up stuff. That's why we have so many black young men dying in the streets of America at the hands of police officers who are the persuasion of the European community, because they are afraid of people of color. You can just walk down the street, you look like you're dangerous. You can be sitting down eating, you look like you're dangerous. You can be talking to your boo, you look like you are dangerous. How is it that we look so dangerous when we've not done anything? Sometimes people are afraid to admit they just don't know you. And I don't want to get to know you because I might discover you're better off than I am. I have had the precious privilege to work with people in many, many capacities. And one of the things I've noticed in the last several years, there are a lot of young men who get angry with their female companion, their sweetheart, the apple of their eye, their boo, because she's now living in an environment, working in an environment where she's now making more than he makes. And some men are intimidated and sometimes horrified at the idea that his boo is making more money than he is. Not thinking that if you just pull together, if the two will walk together in agreement and in harmony, you can do more together than you could ever do apart. We somehow have become indoctrinated to believe that in order to be in charge, I have to have more money. You don't have to have more money. Just learn to use the sense and the courage and the character that God has already indwelt in you. When your enemy is threatened, he'll use fear to try to destroy you. Every young black man who have died in the streets of America at the hands of white armed police officers were men who were afraid of the fellow black person. Many instances, the black person hadn't done anything. You can just say, I'm innocent, my hands on the steering wheel, my hand on the dashboard, and they come to your window with guns drawn because you are just black. Afraid because the color of my skin suggests to them that something about me is angry. But John says in 1 John 4, verse 18, reading from the New International Version, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made in perfect love, which really says the reason our country is in such disarray now is because fear has to do with punishment. That means when an officer, a person of authority, a person in position, they are acting out of their own rage and disconnect because they feel like they need to punish us. Isn't it amazing they can punish us but never find the wherewithal to promote us? My brothers and my sisters, unfortunately, it doesn't stop with white and black. We have brought it within the black community where blacks are also doing it to fellow blacks. We have to learn that love casts out fear. And love means I get to know you at an intimate level where I can appreciate who you are and what God has invested in you. And I can appreciate you because you are a part of the extended family of human beings. We have to love because love destroys fear. And fear and love cannot coexist. Maybe that's why the Lord said, come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. We have to talk things through. When your enemy is afraid, not only will he use fear, but when your enemy is afraid of you, he will also use oppression. Try to find ways to burden you down, rob you of your dignity, overwork, underpay, last one hired, first one fired. You do the dirty job while I get the easy job. It's just a way of oppressing us. We have found in this country that the welfare that we have in this country is neither doing well nor fair. It is designed to keep the black man out of the family circle, and it is promoting somehow to keep birthing of children, because as many children as you have, the more you have, the more money and resources you're able to get. But now the tide is turning where they're beginning to say we can no longer take care of all of the children you're trying to have just for $1. Maybe we need to see oppression as an opportunity to stand boldly, as an opportunity to stand on the promises of God, as an opportunity to say that though you slay me, yet will I love you. Though you slay me, yet I'm going to trust God. Though you slay me, I will not turn on my fellow person. Though you slay me, I'm going to stand firm on the promises of God. And Jesus said in Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, in the New Interactive Version, come to me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Not only will the enemy do these things, but when he's afraid of you, he will also use destructive forces. Yes, he will. There's a certain population in this country where it's so easy for them to accept the death of more than 175,000 people at the hands of a white incompetent president. Yes, a white incompetent president. And will not accept free health care from a caring and competent black president. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be of self-control and alert. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. My brothers and my sisters beloved, the enemy will try to find ways to destroy us. But in reading the biblical text, an amazing thing happens when they start trying to destroy the Israelites. Because as they start to incarcerate them, as they start to punish them, as they start to enslave them, something amazingly happened in the text. Because when they afflicted them, in verse 12, the more they were afflicted, they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because the children of Israel kept on keeping on. In other words, how is it that you are growing? How is it that you are developing when people are trying to destroy you? I'm glad you asked that question, because keep in mind, when the enemy is trying to destroy you, God knows how to use it as an opportunity to develop you. The people who are trying to stop you are trying to destroy you, but God turns it away, and so it develops you and strengthens you. In other words, what the enemy meant for bad, God turns it for my good. Oh, they should have died based on the treatment they received. But instead of dying, they start living. And Pharaoh decided, since y'all won't die, let me kick it up another notch. I want you to kill all male babies. And the enemy, when he's afraid of you, he wants to kill your babies to stop new life. Because if you have no new ideas, if you have no new love, no new thoughts, you will die in the stagnation of a life that has no life in it. So in an attempt to kill the baby, he said, I can stop this nation from growing. Let all the girl babies live, but kill the male babies, because I want to stop And yet God found a way to sustain you in the midst of folk trying to destroy you. But then not only did he do that, but then he said, since I can't kill all the male babies, I'm going to start killing the men. I want to kill a new life. That didn't work. Now let me kill those who try to sustain life. Isn't it amazing how folks would do so much to you, trying to destroy you? They will do harm, going and coming, say stuff to you, going and coming. It's almost like when you're trying to do the best you know how, people are trying to find a way to stop you from doing that little you're trying to do. You ain't trying to bother nobody. You're not trying to get ahead of anybody. You're just trying to make do with what you have. You're not trying to be bigger or better than anyone else. You're just trying to survive another dangerous day. You're not trying to be impressive. You're just trying to survive another moment through this thing called life. You're not trying to draw attention to yourself. You're not trying to be a big baller or shot caller. You're just trying to make it one day at a time. And when you're trying to mind your own business, people want to stop you because you have caused the enemy to feel threatened. Because you're not concerned with the foolish ideas and activities of those who are trying to destroy you. You just keep it on. Keep it on. And when they try to kill your life, try to kill your dreams, don't waste your time trying to explain your dreams to folk who don't understand what God is doing in your life. Don't try to explain the miracle that God has performed in your life, because your enemy will not appreciate it. They ain't want to hear it in the first place. I want to encourage some beloved brother or sister this morning who feel the need to explain. You cannot explain the blessing of God to people who are trying to destroy you. The best explanation you can give anyone is to live out the promises of God and keep your hand in his hand and watch God work things out. The reality is some of us, if not all of us, should have been dead a long time ago. But God keeps on making a way for us. There's some people who can't explain how they've been where they are, other than the fact God showed up. When he showed up, I can't explain how God. Don't know when God. I don't know how I did it. God. You don't have to explain everything to folks who are trying to destroy you. But interesting in the text, and reading all of the passages, it never showed where the Israelites tried to fight back. That was puzzling to me. Because if someone trying to harm you, there's a natural propensity to want to fight back. But in reading the biblical text, I discovered the Israelites didn't try to fight back. They made do under the circumstances that were given to them. And I'm asking myself, how is it that you all can sit there, stand there, live through all of this, and make do with what's going on? It didn't make sense to me until I thought about a story my grandmother told me as a little boy. She said, we grew up as sharecroppers, and we had to share the work, the profit of the farm labor. She said, we would work all summer long, taking care of the garden. When you come to harvest time to count up or time to settle up, the white owner would always find extra expenses. And she would told me a couple of times there were years when they got through counting and settling up, there was nothing left for the black family to have. So my grandfather would come home and say to my grandmother, we don't have anything for the year. Here she is, a grandmother who has 5 children of her own, a husband. And how are they going to make 7 people are going to survive a long, hard, cold winter with nothing because everything was taken from them? She told me that they had a belief in God, that no matter whatever the white man did, God knew how to make a way for them. She told me that one year that the white lady got sick, and the white man asked her to come cook for them. And he felt so guilty that he would allow her to take food home out of the kitchen of the white kitchen to the children of her own struggling black empty kitchen. Somehow God turned the situation where she didn't have to fight or argue through sickness of his wife. My grandmother was able to feed her children and husband the whole winter long. Can't nobody work stuff out for you like God. Even when your enemy try to destroy you, God knows how to deliver you. When they try to mess you up, God knows how to pick you up. Can't nobody do you like Jesus. So I learned from the biblical text, don't waste your time fighting. I know there's a desire to fight, but you need to know how to fight. The best way to fight, on your knees. Because when you're on your knees talking to your Father, He hears your cry. And when the Lord hears your cry, He will answer your prayers. There are some people who know firsthand what it's like to call on the Lord in a time of despair. And you can say with a great deal of certainty that God showed up just in time. If you trust Him, if you believe in Him, if you honor Him, God will make a way out of no way. Oh, in other words, this battle ain't yours. It belongs to the Lord. This fight that you're fighting is really not yours. It belongs to the Lord. And God is not in the habit of losing. God is not in the habit of being defeated. God is not in the habit of being ran out of town, because the earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. Whatever you are going through, God can handle it. Your enemy is the one that's in trouble, because you have something that your enemy does not have. Time is filled with swift transition. In other words, you got to learn how to hold to God's unchanging hand. If you hold to God's unchanging hand, even your enemy have to leave you alone, because God can take your enemy and make them your footstool, and you can stand up on the stuff that tried to take you out. God knows how to give you victory in the time when it looks like you're losing. God knows how to turn your situation around when it looks like there ain't going to be no tomorrow. God knows how to turn your midnight into midday when it looks like the clock ain't going to work for you no more. Nobody but God. Woo. When your enemy is afraid of you, he'll do everything he can to destroy you. But we serve a God who knows all things. He even knows how to handle my enemies. I want to encourage some man, woman, boy, or girl who's at the point of throwing in the towel. Hang on in there a little while longer. Not only will God be on the way, but He's handling your situation even right now. Here's an opportunity for you to be a part of the Macedonia church. If you want to be a part of our congregational church, our cyber church, you don't have to leave your church where you are. You can just inbox us and say, I want to be a cyber member. And we'll keep you connected with us, all the things we're doing digitally, how we're keeping up with each other in this virtual world. You'll be part of everything we got going on. You can see all the workshops, all the stuff we're going to be doing coming forth. You will be a part of it because you're part of the Macedonia cyber congregation. If you're looking for a physical place to be a part of the church, you can still inbox us. And if I want to be a member, a physical member, I promise you we'll get right back with you. We'll show you how to do it, even remotely, to become a physical member or a cyber member. The choice is yours. But remember, the day you hear my voice, harden not your heart. He's standing at the door knocking. Will you let Him in? You're not tuned in by happenstance or accident today. You're here because of divine providence. So I expect to hear from you on this day. May God bless you. May God keep you is our prayer.
Sometimes it's hard to night from day. Till there's hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. Breathe the storms, don't cease, and if the wind keeps on blowing in my life, my soul has been in the Lord. Through the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Stars that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep mine eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. In the storms, don't just in case the wind keeps on blowing in my life. My soul's been in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. I know I've been in the Lord. I realize that sometimes Jesus' life will be torn by the waves and the currents that seem so deep. But in the Word, God, I've got it in God, and it keeps me steadfast and unmovable. Just in the storm, don't cease, and just in case the wind keeps on blowing in my life, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, in the Lord, my soul, my soul, my soul's been anchored, my soul's been anchored. My soul, Yeah.